This show is brought to you by coffee. When sleep is something you could only dream about. That is, if you could actually dream. Coffee. When you just need to stay up for 2 more hours. Coffee. If you'd like to help me stay up for a few more hours, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/odddadout. I really don't need to sleep anyway. So go to buymeacoffee.com/odddadout. Because how else am I going to get this podcast recorded?
Beginning Odd Dad Out podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Odd Dad Out podcast, where normal is not my specialty. I am your host, as always, the moderately caffeinated Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad Out. You can find me at odddadoutpodcast.com and at Odd Dad Out on all the social media places, including the Oddballs Facebook group, where I'm trying my damnedest to do some shit over there. Whew, and this is the show where I ramble and rant and empty my brain for your listening pleasure or whatever sort of sick feelings you get from listening to my bullshit. Woo. How you doing? Woo. I don't know why I keep wooing. Maybe it's the coffee. I'm in a silly mood, and I'm really kind of banking on it's the caffeine, because the last show where I didn't have caffeine and I was kind of and today I'm caffeinated, and I made sure I had caffeine with me today to be awake, because I didn't want to not do the show, because being sick sucks. And I'm just going to say I may or may not sound a little stuffy right now, because I'm kind of getting over that sinus infection that beat me up last week and left me stuck in bed, because sinus infections suck. And I'm sorry, God, I'm really whistly tonight. Jesus. But anyway, how are you doing? I just mentioned I was sick last week, and that sucked, but if you've been listening to me any amount of time, you've heard me go through the I'm fucking sick and this sucks bullshit, so let's just skip it this time. How you doing? Because, it's now been 2 weeks, and I haven't gotten to hear how you're doing. And, I care, honestly. I legit care, because, well, what the fuck else am I going to care about? You guys you're awesome. And, sometimes somebody just needs to, hey, how you doing? And that's why I'm here. I'm here every week to be your little, hey, how you doing? I'm here. If you need to talk, use the voicemail line. Text me. 516-636-7631. No bullshit. If you just need to talk, fuck it. Text me. Drop me a voicemail. Maybe I can call you back. I'm going to say, I leave it on voicemail only because I get a lot of spam phone calls. You know those phone calls you get where, like, the joke of, hey, your car's extended warranty is about to expire, that sort of bullshit? Well, on that number, I get those calls, but in Chinese. Yeah, I don't know. Every wrong number I get on my show line, all the Odd Dad Out phone calls that I get that are incorrect are in Chinese. At least I'm assuming it's Chinese. It could be fucking Korean or Vietnamese or fucking Laotian. I don't know. It could be in what you just default to. It's Chinese or Japanese, but it is not English. It is a language of Asian origin. And I don't know what the fuck they're saying, so I'm just assuming you're asking me about my car's extended warranty. Which is weird, because I've actually been getting those calls. For all of that being a joke, I never got those calls until like the last few months, and now I get them every fucking day. How about you? Do you actually get those calls, or is it just a meme for you? Because I thought it was, just a joke, and now I fucking get them, and now I can't get them to stop because I don't answer the phone. Because I don't know who the fuck you are, so stop calling me. And I can guarantee you, my car's extended warranty expired many, many years ago. There's nothing you can do about it. But let me just do a quick update on all the little things I talked about recently. So, I mentioned we had a pumpkin. A certain annoying fucking dog that's laying behind me currently likes to chew on stuff in the garden, and I don't recall if I mentioned. Well, no, I didn't, because all that fucking hiatus-y bullshit. But we discovered during the winter growing months that Mystic likes cucumbers, and she would go out and she would snap up cucumbers off of the vines and eat cucumbers. Well, she tried doing the same thing with our pumpkin. So the little pumpkin that we had, our first little pumpkin that we had, she chomped into it and chewed it up, and well, that one went away. But fortunately, we did have about 4 more pumpkins that got pollinated in the last couple weeks in the in between time since I've been here. And we've also got our cucumbers, not our cucumbers. Cucumbers haven't really done much yet, but when those things get huge, it's going to take off, and we're going to have a sea of cucumbers again like we did over the winter, and I'm going to be making pickles like crazy and giving them to everybody. But our cantaloupe, I've just been going bananas. And well, because they've been going cantaloupes, dumbass, but you know what I mean. They've been going crazy. And I had to bag a bunch of them because they're getting so big, and I need to kind of take the pressure off. I need to tie them to the trellis so that they don't fall off their vines before they're ready. But I've got maybe 6 of them bagged right now that are a few inches around. And we've probably got like 20 to 30 that are coming in that are still really small, like maybe thumb sized. And we're like, yeah, we'll bag them when they get to be a few inches tall. But we're going to have a hell of a cantaloupe season this year. We've never grown cantaloupe before, but this is just taken off. And so this is crazy. So cantaloupe's doing great. Pumpkins are doing pretty good. Like I said, we're going to have about 4 pumpkins. They're looking really good. Cucumbers haven't really come in yet. Corn is coming in right now. And so we're getting to see ears coming in. We're seeing the silks popping up off the top. And so we're going out there, and we're going to end up anywhere from like 40 to 60 ears of corn when it's all said and done. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to need to do some stuff this weekend just to get it kind of wrangled because it's so out of control right now. And it's been, it's the thing about Phoenix in the summertime. Yeah, it's still springtime officially, but, Phoenix in the warm weather months, the monsoons. And if you aren't familiar with monsoon winds, just say it gets damn windy here. And when you're trying to grow something like corn, wind is good sometimes, but it also can rip them out of the ground. And I think I mentioned how sweet corn is apparently a very shallow rooted plant. And so it's super sensitive to wind, which again, we didn't know when we were dealing with the popcorn, when we were doing with the glass gem popcorn in the winter. That's a deep rooted corn. That stuff took over everything and just roots at galore. Great. This stuff, nope. You can walk up and that shit's just falling over, getting blown around like damn crazy. And so I need to get and put up some more trellising or something to keep the corn from blowing down, basically. So, weekend project. So that's what's going on in the garden. Strawberries are doing, their thing. I've got some mint to hopefully, we've had a real problem with caterpillars, and I guess they're, lettuce or cabbage moth or cabbage worms, whenever they're. So the little white moths that you see around if you have a garden, and they're the little green stereotypical the very hungry caterpillar, those assholes. The very hungry caterpillars eat your goddamn everything. And okay, sidebar. We found out today Eric Carle died. If you aren't familiar with Eric Carle, he's the guy who wrote The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So that's, a highly formative book that I'm not saying every child should read this book. I'm pretty sure every single child in the United States has read this book at some point in the last 30 years. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if you've been through the American school system in the last 30 years, you read The Very Hungry Caterpillar. My boys have had at least 3 versions of it, including a plush version. So, yeah. Bummer. Back to the real fucking caterpillars. They're tearing up most of my plants. They're all over everything. I've pulled them out of everything. They're cabbage moths, and they're cabbage worms is what they call them. But they are the stereotypical looking green caterpillar that leaves the stereotypical little, chomp mark holes in all of the leaves of all of your plants. And I've had them on the pumpkins. I've had them on the cucumbers. I haven't had them on the cantaloupes or watermelon, which I'm lucky. But last year we had them on the popcorn. I haven't had them on the sweet corn this year, but I do have them on the green beans, which are under the corn. So I'm worried about that. Actually, for that matter, I had them in the bed with the potatoes. So they were on the potatoes, but they haven't been on the cantaloupe, which were in the same bed. So that's kind of weird. I think I got them out of there. But yeah, those fucking green little bastards that just chew up everything. And I've been fighting those things. And I got some mint because apparently they hate mint. So I've got mint, little like peppermint and spearmint scattered about all over the yard to try and get rid of those. So yeah, garden update. Just wanted to get that out of the way because there's some of you, and I've learned that very much that care about my garden updates. And I'm sorry I haven't done any videos in the garden, any video updates lately. I haven't had the time. Being sick kind of took a lot out of me. And it goes back to the whole, I don't like appearing on camera personally, but it feels weird just narrating me walking through the garden without appearing on camera. And I don't like being on camera when I don't have my teeth in. And the best time to film is in the morning. And I don't have my teeth in the morning. And so I look weird. And I don't want to be on camera looking weird. So I don't. It's a big whole vanity thing. Yeah, I know. I can't get much uglier. So what's the difference without teeth? But still, I don't like appearing on camera anyway. So I've kind of dodged making some more videos, but I really need to because I've got so much. Looking at the garden status right now compared to what it was in my last video it's several weeks of difference. And we've got all these cantaloupes and all these things and all the strawberries and the corn. Holy crap. Thinking about where the corn is right now compared to what it was in my last video. I'm like, I really need to get out there. My corn is like, I can't reach the top of my corn now. It's in pollination mode, and I've got ears coming in, and we've got visible green bean pods, or not pods yet, but we've got the green beans are flowering, and we got all this stuff going on that I haven't been able to adequately update you on in a visual sense. So I need to do that. Lately, I've been doing a lot of short little video clips, mostly just showing stuff to my wife, like, hey, and I'll like go out in the morning and take videos of the bees because holy crap, the bees. Our pumpkins, the whole pumpkin area, first thing in the morning, go out there 7:00 in the morning, and there's probably 24 bees all up in the pumpkin flowers. The pumpkin flowers, which open up and they're like the size of your hand. And so we'll go out there and there'll be sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 bees in one flower. I mean, it's how huge these flowers are, that they can have several bees in them at once. But then also in them, like all the damn way in too. They're like all in there, up in there bathing. But it's really funny. Like, man, they're like, if you ever see a cat that's just way too loaded up on catnip, like you just left the bag there and let them go to town, and how crazy they get. That's what the bees look like at some mornings. They're just like tumbling around and bathing in the fucking pollen that are in the pumpkin flowers. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I've been shooting a ton of little, like maybe 5-10 second clips of bees just, being it up in the mornings. But I haven't really shot a lot of like extended footage. And I had one of my boys out this morning. I was like, hey, can you just go shoot pictures and shoot video of the bees? And he shot lots of wide shots of bees, but no like up close stuff. So I need to go out and shoot some more bee footage. I roll that beautiful bee footage for anybody who's familiar with those Bush's baked beans commercials, because I'm a dork. But anyway, I'm still, like I mentioned, like getting over all the everything and the sinus infection-y stuff and the being like congested and all that. And I think I'm still kind of that, combined with, the lingering effects of COVID from back in February, and having just like general shortness of breath right now. Like I really need to get myself back. I need to get another inhaler or something, get back into the doctor just for like stuff like that. Cause like I used to use an inhaler like every day, just as a kind of a preventative thing to keep my breathing in check back when, again, if you're a long time listener, I have kind of a chronic issue with, bronchitis and things like that flaring up. And so, bronchitis flare ups, cough, 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 crack ribs multiple times. Yeah. Fun times. Well, back in the day, I used to actually have an inhaler that I would use a few times a day to kind of keep my breathing issues, not so much asthma, but it would keep kind of my breathing stuff regulated so that I wouldn't get those coughs that would mess everything up. And the coughs wouldn't get super, super bad. And it actually had more to do with the bronchitis issue, so that it kept my airways open so I didn't get any inflammation. But I haven't used anything. I haven't used like an inhaler or anything like that in a few years, like more than a few years. And I probably should, especially, post COVID, I should probably be using that to kind of get my lung power back to where it used to be. And my wife's kind of in the same boat, where her asthma and her breathing issues have been front and center since her bout with COVID. And so she's, she's using we have a nebulizer. We have like albuterol and all this stuff. She's not comfortable using an inhaler, so she has to use the machine with the nebulizer and all that stuff. And so she's using that every other day to keep herself straight. But, we need to get, probably need to go into the doctor and see if they have a more long-term something they can do to help alleviate our respiratory issues. Because sometimes it sucks not being able to breathe. Especially when you've got to go out in the garden and cover yourself in corn pollen or whatever, or, spend an hour or 2 hours trimming mesquite because your ADD kicked in and you completely forgot you were supposed to be making breakfast for your wife. Because, yeah, true story. This literally happened to me the other day. And I was rolling the dumpsters out, and I noticed the other, like Monday night or Monday afternoon, we were like taking the boys to the park. I'm like, okay, take the boys to the park. And I realized that our mesquite tree in the front yard had grown over the sidewalk. And it's not super tall because our house isn't that old, like literally a 2-year-old house. And so the mesquite in the front yard is like 2 years old, and it's, barely taller than our front window, but it's very shrubby. And if you're familiar with kind of how mesquite just kind of sprawl, for being a tree, it sprawls like a damn vine of some type. And it gets a lot of extra shoots and branches and things that splinter off, and it just goes crazy. And if you water your mesquite at all, they just fucking take off. And I remember my sister had a mesquite in the front of one of her previous houses. We never watered this damn thing. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Never watered this thing. We still had to trim this bitch twice a year because it would grow so fast and so far. It would get into, like, this was, next to the front door practically, but the branches would grow over and shade the entire yard, over the sidewalk and out into the street. And you can't have, for HOA and city ordinances and all that shit, your trees can't hang over into the street. So we were constantly having to cut this thing back. Twice a year, we'd have to cut this thing back so that it didn't cross over the sidewalk. Well, right now, my mesquite in my front yard is short. So all of the branches that were going over covering past the sidewalk were just on the sidewalk. So you walk past our house, there's just wall of tree. Nope, can't pass our house. You literally could not walk in front of our house because of these branches. And so I had to go in and I didn't have to. Okay, I had to because, hey, this needs to get trimmed because I don't want to get a ticket from the city. At the time I did it, I did not have to do this, but I was wheeling the garbage cans out on Tuesday morning. And I look up, and Monday we'd gone to the park and I'd noticed how bad the mesquite was. Like, oh, I really need to trim that because that's pretty bad. Tuesday morning, I'm wheeling the dumpsters out and I look up and I'm like, oh, let me grab the clippers and take care of some of those low branches. Which then turns into, I'm in shorts and slippers right now. I'm going to go get changed. And I go completely change my clothes and put on, pants and my sneakers and get my gloves from the yard and grab my saw and my clippers and all this stuff and go and spend the next hour and a half clipping and trimming out all of my mesquite in the front and getting all the branches, basically anything that's below head height, and trim everything down and kind of taper it down to get everything kind of managed and pile up this mountain of fucking mesquite and then chuck it all over my back wall into my side yard so that it's out of the way. And I think I'm probably going to see about calling a tree trimmer or somebody to come out, not to trim my trees because that would just be ridiculous, but just so they can hey, y'all got a wood chipper or something just so you can grind up all these branches I got. I don't need you to trim my trees. I just need you to chip my branches, but something like that. But I spend hour and a half, 2 hours out there trimming this all up, getting everything taken care of, sweeping up the sidewalk. So now you can walk past our house and it looks nice. And of course, as I'm cutting all these branches away, I'm uncovering all of the weeds and bullshit that are in the front of the house that were hiding under those branches. So then I'm having to weed the rocks and all this stuff. And I've still got some of the shrubs and stuff that are out front I really need to trim now that they're, again, uncovered. But I can do all this and make everything look all nice and come inside and realize that before I took out the trash, my wife had asked me to make her breakfast. She's like, hey, can you make me something for breakfast? Because she goes into work relatively early. By goes into work, she comes into the office to start working. But she comes in to start working relatively early. She's like, hey, can you make me something to eat? I was like, yeah, sure. Let me take the trash out. 2 hours later, I come in. Fuck. and walk in and look at the time and realize that I was supposed to be making her breakfast. So, hey, baby, I got all the mesquite cleaned up real nice. And she's like, yeah, I noticed. So what you want for lunch? Because, ADD is a son of a bitch, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to say ADHD. Yeah, fuck it. I've learned, and we learned in our investigations of possibilities of some of our boys having ADHD. Apparently it's kind of like autism now, where they've condensed all of these different disorders and now they're all autism, and that's where the whole autism spectrum, and there's so many things that are now classified as being autism that used to be its own individual thing. And I just, in the realms of psychology and neurological disorders and shit, that shit annoys me. Like, why you got to take 10 different things that used to have their own damn names and now it's all autism? No. Can we have Asperger's be its own fucking name? I realize it's a name that makes it easy to make fun of. But you know what? Asperger's can be its own thing. It doesn't have to be autism too. But ADHD and ADD, and it used to be attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And now apparently everything is just ADHD, which seems counterintuitive because you either have hyperactivity disorder or you have no hyperactivity. And so shouldn't the big group term be ADD, the attention deficit disorder, and you have ADD with hyperactivity or without hyperactivity? Why is it the other way around? Why is everything that with the why is the H there all the time? But this doesn't make sense to me. It's just it's a logic game I don't like. Okay. Doesn't make sense. Why? I don't like the condensing of things that used to all have individual names. Why has everything got to be a group? Why you got to take everything and put it under one great big umbrella? Why can't all the things that used to have their own name just call everything by it used to have its own name? Okay? It's not so difficult. Why are you lazy? Why you can't remember all the 10 things? Why you got to call all the 10 things by one thing? Stop being lazy. Remember more shit, damn it. That's it. All of this stuff. You're just too lazy to remember all of the different things. You're just going to call them all ADHD now. You're just going to call them all autism now. Why? You're too lazy to remember all of the things. That's what it is. You didn't want 5 pages in that psych book. You just wanted one. Lazy. Okay, I'm being an ass. When am I not? But this is just how my brain works, which probably is a little bit of something in the autism spectrum. I've never been tested. I probably should be. Realistically looking at my kids, and we're fairly sure. I know, like, when we had one of them tested, we had not so much tested, like evaluated, but they're like, yeah, it's a possibility, but it's one of those at his age. There's a lot of things like it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this. And all of these different things theoretically can present the same with a lot of the same symptoms. It's like COVID. Everything is a COVID symptom. Like, when you expand the umbrella of autism, everything is autism. Everything is an autism symptom. My spastic randomness shit bull, whatever the fuck I just said, that is a symptom. There's too many things. There's too many things that could be so many things when you expand the umbrella. That's why I don't like umbrellas. Don't even need them for rain. Fuck it. You don't need them for rain either. Water. It's sky water. It's not going to hurt you. Umbrellas are for losers, man. I say as we have an umbrella right next to our back door all the time because we live on the surface of the sun and it's really hot in the afternoon. So you go out there with the umbrella for shade. But, umbrellas are for losers. I'm okay. Are you okay? Sometimes my brain just goes, woo. But that's what makes this show fun, right, kids? You don't know if I'm going to finish a thought or if I'm just going to... I don't know. You don't know. We're all in this ride together. But yeah, I've just got it's one of those things where I've got so many things I want to talk about. And I literally have a notebook that I keep in my bag at work to write down all the shit that I want to talk about on the show. And I never fucking write a damn thing because whenever I do have an idea, I never have my damn notebook with me. Or I'm like, I'll remember it. I'm never going to fucking remember it. And I sit there all week and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to talk about this. Never fucking get there. Really, I never do. And I've said this before. I have all these ideas and all these things I want to talk about on the show. And I sit down with the mic and I never fucking get there because I can't plan how my brain is going to work. And because everything here is just, what the hell is in my head right now? Doesn't matter if I had this thought like, man, this is going to be a great topic. I'm going to discuss it. Too bad my brain can't turn that thought back on. Good for you thinking you were going to be able to think a thing. Isn't it a bitch when you can't control your own damn brain? That's life, okay? That's my life. I can't control my own brain half the time. Again, I think I might be on the wave, but I have these ideas. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm going to think about this and I'm going to talk about all this shit that I've been watching. And I'm like, oh yeah, man. Like things like always getting the vibe of, do I keep doing the show? I get that sort of, I'm not going to sit here and play, I'm going to quit. Meh. I think about quitting the show all the time. I do. And I think about quitting the show because I feel like this show provides zero useful knowledge. Unless, lately the garden shit. But, there's zero redeeming value in this program. This is me, mind dump. It's you're listening to the train wreck that is my brain. And thank you for listening to this train wreck brought to you by coffee. But, you're not learning shit. You're not gaining any valuable knowledge or brain cells. I'm pretty sure I'm costing you brain cells by you listening to me. And, I think about quitting the show to maybe do something more intelligent. I think about, pivoting and maybe doing YouTube stuff. And then I get back to that whole, I don't want to be on camera. And videos where you're not on camera require a bit more production. So I don't want to do that. And then I'm like, no, I enjoy doing the show. Whether anybody else wants to listen to me or not is a whole other thing. But I enjoy emptying my brain for your listening voyeurism. But I've also had the idea, go with me here, for a true crime podcast. No, not one of those. Fuck that. I'm not about to go talking about, as Kate from Ignorance Bliss would say, murder porn. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Because, well, that's really not on brand. And I have zero interest in murder type true crime. But it was once pointed out that my news coverage of weird shit does technically classify as true crime. Because they're true stories. I was talking about crime. Therefore, it is true crime. Just not by the typical definition. And so I had been kind of toying around the idea of doing a true crime, big fat air quotes, true crime podcast that is about more regular types of crime, but weird, funny shit like the shit that I talk about and making fun of shit and doing something probably a little shorter form because, brevity. And something where I'd probably be, going more towards, again, legit news and looking at, weird asshole does weird, stupid shit, dies because weird assholes do dumb shit all the time and get themselves killed because, criminals are fucking stupid and, looking for criminals being fucking stupid. And I believe I actually had the discussion with Kate about doing this because she being, true crime adjacent and still having a foothold and connections in the true crime space. I laugh with it would be completely on brand for me to do the true crime show, but it's all comedy and it's all making me ripping on stupid criminals, which is, again, on brand. It's part of what I've done for the last 6 years. And so, it'd be funny to, pivot the show and instead of me emptying my brain out all the time, maybe do a show about true crime, weird bullshit. But that takes time and work and research. And I need to find, a steady source of bullshit true crime stories and weird, stupid criminals to manage to fill a true crime podcast of that sort every week or 2 weeks or whatever it would be. So yeah, it's like a fun idea that I want to do. But at the same time, it's, do I want to do the work? I have a hard enough time trying to keep up with the little bit of work I do here. Like, I still have not officially posted the last episode on the website. And a lot of it just goes to, hey, time with my computer at my desk to sit and work. But still, I haven't done it. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me. And I need to sit my ass down and actually do this shit and and just, suck it up and sit down with my laptop and do this shit. But we've been through this discussion about me and difficulty working on a laptop. But I'm going to have to fucking do it just so I can get these damn show notes and blog posts and things posted and fucking sitting down and fucking writing. I keep saying I want to write and I want to write and I want to write these reviews, and I haven't written a fucking review in fucking months. And it's annoying the shit out of me because I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in myself because I want to do the shit and I don't have the energy or the motivation to sit down and do the shit. And I need to just sit down and do the fucking shit. I need to sit down and write the reviews, and I need to talk about, even if I'm, as much as I want to write the formal reviews, I want to sit down. I want to just start, talking about podcasts again. I want to drop this in here and tell you about more podcasts because it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy sharing that with you, and I haven't done it in a while. And I think it's because I get hung up on my format. I get hung up on that, like I've always done, where, hey, I've got a promo or I've got a clip. I've got some audio of the show to share with you so I can talk about this program that I'm going to tell you about and what I think about them. And I get hung up on that whole, I want to have an example for you, because if I don't have a ready-made clip, then I have to go make one. And that takes time, because it's not just, I grab a thing. It's like, okay, I got to go find an episode. I've got to download an episode. I've got to listen to it and find a clip of audio. I've got to listen through the shit and find a good piece to play for you to help words to accurately represent not only the show, but what I'm trying to tell you about the show. So that's where it gets difficult, where things like I get these long clips from Welcome to Night Vale, or things, or when I did Sans Pants Radio way back in the day, and I probably spent 2 hours to make a 30-second clip, literally composed entirely of opening segments from their shows of them just saying, Sans Pants Radio, we're a bunch of fucking guys. Hey, Sans Pants Radio, you're a fucking cunt. Shit like that, Sans Pants Radio, what's up, you dickheads? Whatever, I haven't, honestly, I'll say I haven't listened to a Sans Pants show in a while. I probably should. I did enjoy those shows back in the day. They just kind of, it's one of those things where after a while I wasn't enjoying. They weren't on my top of list. They weren't my immediate go-to stuff. Whereas in earlier podcast listening days, they were, my go-tos, and half of my, back in the day when I only listened to a dozen or so podcasts, half of them were Sans Pants. But, those clips and those things and putting those things together takes a lot of time. That's it. Takes a long time to splice and edit. And it's the funny thing. Like, if you ever hear somebody do a clip show, especially in podcasting, you see like a clip show on TV and you think, oh, this is just it's a real easy way for them to throw an episode together. No, it is the absolute hardest way to put an episode together, because you have to listen through or know where all of these clips are from. And most people who do clip shows keep meticulous notes about jokes and about bits and about segments. And they have these things meticulously organized so that they can sit there and say, okay, that bit and this topic, I want to pull this and I want to take this clip and I want to use all that. You have all of that written down somewhere in a fucking master chart somewhere to tell you where these clips are, because otherwise you're listening to hundreds of hours of audio to find a joke. It's like, I think I said that funny thing here. Fuck, wrong episode. All right. 2 hours wasted and going and doing that. So yeah, clip shows are a bitch. So that's why I don't do them. It's also why I don't do bloopers. You have no idea how many times it takes me to, again, start the show. And it's something I've said in the past. I will sit there and record the intro to the show 4 times before I ever continue rolling through it. And then my little coffee commercial at the start here took me about 20 minutes. No bullshit. It took me about 20 minutes to sit here and do, what is that, like 20 seconds of, we're sponsored by coffee, because I need to make some coffee jokes and tell you about a new way to donate to the show. Yeah. Coffee. buymeacoffee.com/odddadout. Throwing that in there. But yeah, shit like that. Throwing that, and I just thought it would be literally, that was not intended to be a plug initially. That was intended to just be I think it'd be funny to use fake sponsors. Because it's funny. And it's me practicing, I'd say reading ads. I'm not reading. I'm pulling this shit out of my head. That's why it takes me so long, because I'm an asshole and I won't write anything fucking down. I'm pretty sure I've already mentioned I'm bad about writing shit down. So yeah, I sit here and improvise a commercial for your benefit. Not really your benefit, more for mine. But improvising a commercial until I find a joke that works, and I'll play with it. Yeah. I'm spitballing my comedy in the form of stupid ads at the start of the show. Anybody else have an idea for an ad that I should do? Just for shits and giggles, as they say. It'd be, hey, anybody throw me an ad. I'll fucking read it. No bullshit. Throw me an ad. Throw me an idea for an ad. So what have I done? I've done Dr. Pepper. I think I've done, was it the Dr. Pepper plus cream soda, because I was drinking that. Did coffee. Did I mention Taco Bell? I did Taco Bell. I need a new fake sponsor. Give me your fake sponsors and I'll do it. Hell, give me your podcast. I'll bullshit my way through it. I'm not going to lie. I'll bullshit my way into pimping your podcast. Whatever the fuck. Tell me. But since I did all this bullshit talking about how much I want to talk about podcasts, I'm going to fucking do it. And you know what? I'm pulling this one out of my ass because I didn't intend to do this. So let's open up. We're going to open up my podcast listening app of choice at the moment, which I listen on, what is Podcast Addict? I have to I have like 5 different apps on my phone, and I use this one. This is the only one I actually listen regularly, but I also have, for various reasons, I have the Spreaker app. I have the Podbean app. I have Spotify. I don't use Spotify for anything really other than sharing podcast on Instagram. It's really good for that. And if you are in the Oddballs Facebook group, completely off topic, but when am I not? I'm trying to get into the habit and trying to really establish some like regular theme days. And I'm totally stealing it from Lisa and Sam from I Shake My Head, but they have regular theme days and things during the week for their Facebook group. I'm not stealing their days, but I'm stealing kind of the idea of, and not like it's an original idea. Oh, on Mondays we do this, and on Wednesdays we wear pink, and I don't know why I'm using this voice, but that's what we're going with. And so this week I did Music Monday, and I want to try and fucking do Music Mondays. And I'm going to try and do Weird Wednesdays. And I'm going to try and do Foodie Fridays. And I'm stealing the name from PRL. But Rihanna wanted me to do Munchy Mondays. They're like, no, I've already got Music Mondays. Like, what are you eating? What are you snacking on? That seems awkward to ask somebody, what are they eating? Hey, what are you eating? But I want to do Foodie Fridays and maybe share some recipes and shit. And talk about, maybe do some food chat. So Foodie Fridays. So right now we're aiming for Music Mondays, Weird Wednesdays, which is going to be a lot of weird news shit and stupid bullshit, which this week included a preacher, a pastor in Africa who heals people by farting on them. You want to know more? You got to join the Facebook group and you'll see it tagged #Weird Wednesday or Wednesday Weird. I got to double check it, but it's there. Weird news shit. We got my thread this week for Music Mondays. We're talking about favorite cover songs, and it came from, I had a kind of, I get in these moods, you ever get a song stuck in your head? Happens to me all the damn time. I've always got music in my head. If I'm not talking to you, I've got music playing in my head. And, you hear a song on the radio and you're like, especially like you hear a cover song and you're like, I like the original better. Or something along those lines. Or you hear like an old song and you're like, I like this version better. And I got into a kick where I had Drift Away by Dobie Gray stuck in my head because I heard the Uncle Kracker version, which I cannot stand. I grew up on the original version. And so that's how I hear it in my head. Kind of like if you heard Turn the Page by Metallica, but you heard the Bob Seger version first, you will never appreciate the Metallica version. Personally, I think I don't like it because of the way they, in interviews, how they talked about it. They're like, oh, it could be anything. No, the song very specifically is describing a musician. It's like, yeah, you could apply it to other people, but y'all's version literally applied it to a woman who was a stripper hooker person, and like a stripper who was a hooker on the side, and this whole bad situation that she was in this video, and y'all applied it to this. Like, y'all are taking liberties with a song that was very specifically written about the music industry. So I take issue with their interpretation of it, but I will not argue that they didn't do a damn good job of it. Their version is an excellent cover. I still would rather hear the Bob Seger version because I'm old. But anyway, I threw up, hey, what are your favorite cover songs? And of course, Coach Raven, because us and our whole family in music, threw up a whole list. And Chief Oddball Alley popped up with a couple of covers from Hanson and something from, I guess it was this season of The Masked Singer. And yeah, good choices. I also I started a Spotify playlist for our Music Monday stuff. So I'll start throwing, if any of your suggestions are on Spotify, you can drop those Spotify links in there and I'll add them to the playlist. So everybody can listen to our Oddball Music Monday playlist. Just for why the fuck not? We can expand our music varieties or whatever, if that's your thing. But yeah, so that's what's going on in the group. I want to talk food on Fridays. I want to talk weird news, bullshit on Wednesdays, and I'm going to talk music on Mondays. Because that's what I want to fucking try and do. I want to establish some shit, damn it. Because for all of I try to do things, and I feel like this is easier to do because I can literally make these posts in advance and just say, hey, Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, these are the shits that we're fucking talking about because I want to talk about some shit. I want to interact with you and shit. So that's what we got going on in the Facebook group if you're interested. Not that that's what I was trying to talk about. I was trying to talk about fucking podcasts that I listen to. And so I want to pull up something, damn it. So let's pull up something. Let's open up the old Podcast Addict and let's scroll and see what podcasts have we talked about already. We've talked about the Box of Oddities. We've talked about, as I'm scrolling through, I'm looking at 2000 DC ended last year. I've got a lot of shows that I listen to, like podcasts about podcasting, Ask the Podcast Coach, The Audacity to Podcast, Better Podcasting, Cast Junkie, which is a whole other podcast about recommending other podcasts, which is why I don't do that, which is why I haven't made an entire podcast about that because, well, there's a few that already do that. And yeah, there's a few that just sit there and ramble like I do too. But, if I don't want to rip off a show that I actually appreciate. But that's, it's one of those things. What do I want to talk about? And I feel like right now, off the top of my head, I don't feel like I can do justice to any of these shows because I haven't planned to talk about them. So let's just pull something. I mentioned Succotash a couple weeks ago because I was mentioned and I was included in their 250th episode. I've really gotten to appreciate this show. I think it's really cool. And I'm sure it's in the show notes from a recent, when I talked about it a couple weeks ago. But the Succotash podcast it's basically, God, and this show's been around for fucking ever. But it is a podcast featuring other podcasts. And I realized I wasn't going to talk about, I just kind of glazed over Cast Junkie that does the same thing. But now that I think about it, I'm sure I'm 99% sure Cast Junkie changed their name because I think it was Podcast Junkie before, and that is also the name of another much more popular show, a much bigger, more established show, And so they changed the name to Cast Junkie. But anyway, Succotash is, again, another show that features other shows, and it's kind of a clip show. And they pull clips from comedy, as they call it. We're the Comedy Soundcast. And, big announcer voice and all that sort of stuff. And this is a fun show. And I appreciate it because it's literally just taking clips from other comedy shows or interviews with comedy podcasters and putting them together. And we'll feature 3 different podcasts or again, they call them soundcasts because they've been around so long, back when the term podcast wasn't agreed upon, when they were still fighting over the wording. And I have no clue if that's actually why they refer to that way, or if they just, want to sit there and be contrarian and whatnot. I should probably reach out to them, but that would also require, me sitting down and interviews and guests and shit, which I want to do it. I really do. That is probably the one thing that I was like, man, once my kids are in school, I could fucking do interviews and I could do all this stuff all day because I'll be home by myself. I'll have all this time to do all this stuff. Nope. Fucking COVID. But it's one of those things. I'd love to interview some of these longtime podcasters. These guys like them. It's the Succotash guys who've been doing this bullshit for 10 goddamn years. 10 years. Or somebody there's a lot of voice acting and industry type podcasts, Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting. That show's been going for fucking forever. Since 2005, 2006. He's done 700, 800 episodes, some crazy shit. And, it's ridiculous that these shows have been going for so long. And that, I gotta look. Which episode, the School of Podcasting has been going for, I know it's over 700 episodes. I think it's around eight something. I'm trying to find the number, but this show's been going for so long, and I'd love to talk to some of these decade-long podcasters that aren't pretentious people, because a lot of them, you get up there for a while and they start getting kind of pretentious. But I'd love to talk to some of these guys. It's just about man, what's it like to have been doing this for so damn long? Talk to the guys from Succotash. How do you find all of these shows? And then the simple question, what made you pull my show? What made you pick me for your clip for episode 250? And it could just be coincidence. It could just be hey, I tagged something comedy on Twitter when I shared the show. But whatever it is, it'd be cool to know, hey, thanks for just to say, hey, thanks for recognizing me. You're weird, but thanks for recognizing me. But also, why? But it was really cool, their feature of me, which I talked about a couple weeks ago. But I've really kind of gotten into this show just for the fact that, hey, it introduces me to other shows. And some of the shows that I've heard on there are things where, I've heard of this show before. I was I'm familiar with that name, but I've never listened to them. And then I get this little clip, and now I know, hey, that's what the show is about. This is what, this is the style. This is the show. And so now I've got a reference, and now, hey, I could go back and listen to that show. Now I know whether or not I want to listen to it or not, which is kind of redundant because my brain. But yeah, now so I kind of like that. And I like the clip show sort of format. And it's something I really would like to do, when it's if I had a show just talking about other podcasts, that's kind of the way I would do it. I'd want to have a clip show sort of format, take 3 clips, do 2 or 3 shows and feature 2 or 3 shows and really go into them like that. But, it's done. And yes, I could do it differently because there is no originality left, but I don't know, got to work. And it's one of those things where I feel much like my comedy true crime sort of podcast, if I were to commit to doing another show like this, to doing a podcast feature show, to doing a true crime news type show, I would have to stop doing this one. Just by merit of I don't have the time. And yeah, it's like, I love doing this. I love sitting down, and who knows what they're going to say, what I'm going to do. But it's just like the whole, do I want to I want to make a show that matters, kind of. Not a lot. Not like desperately important matters, like changing the world sort of matters. I don't want to go out there and actually solve somebody's crime and save the world type of shit. But it would be kind of cool if I did something that mattered to people. I very likely don't not to, discredit my impact on people, but pretty sure if I stopped doing this show tomorrow, your life would be all right. I'm not changing lives. I may be an entertaining part of your day, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, I'm not making a drastic effect on you personally. I appreciate you. And again, if you just need somebody to talk to, you can hit me up on the voicemail line, 516-636-7631. Text me, say, hey, just want to chat. Whatever. You can, so many things that you could do if you just need to reach out. No bullshit. You hear me like this. You hear me here. Hear me here. Haha. Don't know what that was. You hear me in this format. This is me. This is the not to discredit anybody's acting ability. You can't fake this. You can't. All the bullshit that just gets out of my head that you listen to whenever you do, you can't fake this. There is no faking this. I'm not that good of an actor. Could I be? I can't fake this. Nobody could fake this because I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. My brain is so scrambled half the time. I don't know where I am. You can't fake this. There is no amount of acting that could result in me. But hey, if you don't listen for that, then what the fuck are you listening for? You listen for me and the reality that is my brain. Maybe. I don't know why the fuck you listen. Maybe you're just waiting for the day that my brain just explodes on mic and miraculously I managed to get it edited and published. And wow, for a guy whose brain just exploded, that's some pretty cool album art. Shit like that, for somebody whose brain just exploded, that's a really long blog post. But, whatever. Maybe he wrote it before his brain exploded. I don't know. But, that's what this is. So I hate to get all existential and deep and emotional about the, existential crisis of podcasting. I don't know why I'm doing this voice again. I don't know why. I think about it a lot. I think about quitting. I think about doing other shows. I think about how much I want to do here. And I'm like, man, why the fuck am I doing this when I can't even do it the way I want to? Just because I want to do 1,000,001 things. I want to make 4 or 5 different podcasts and make money and never have to fucking go back to work again. I got the same goal of every other podcaster. I'd love to be able to do this and never have to work again. But hey, that's not life. That's not where I'm at right now. Unless I make that true crime podcast and make $1 bajillion, but I'm not gonna because I'm fucking lazy. But, that's life. You can't be lazy and expect to be successful, especially when you're supposed to be a creative type person. You can't be creative and lazy and successful all at the same time. So I'm not. You're welcome. Or not. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm rambling. Like I've said before, if you are interested in learning about some more comedy podcasts, check out Succotash. Listen on your podcast player of choice, because if you're listening to me, you probably have a podcast player of choice. You're probably a podcaster. Just statistically speaking for my audience. But anyway, thank you, as always, for listening, putting up with my whatever the fuck this is. I want to do the work. I want to get back on the shit, maybe do some news, talk about, I'll probably, my Weird Wednesdays, I'll probably talk about them here. Go a little more in depth. Why? Because why the fuck not? Maybe give you a heads up on my upcoming Music Mondays. I think that's what I want to do. I think I'll probably try and give you a little update. What's going on in the Facebook group? Because I want to, some sort of, accountability for my goal to do shit. If I got to talk about it, I got to do it so I can talk about it. So, damn it. Foodie Friday coming up. If you have not listened to this by Friday, you should check out the Facebook group, see what we're talking about for Foodie Friday. I think, you know what? I'm going to start off simple. And I'm going to totally, again, I stole the name. I'm going to steal the format. We're talking breakfast. Foodie Friday. We're going to talk about what's your favorite breakfast. I'll even make it even simpler. We're talking, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? Tell me over in the Facebook group. Oddballs, friends of the Odd Dad Out podcast. Links in the show notes, as always, at oddadoutpodcast.com. I'm making myself more work. But you know what? It's for your entertainment, damn it. But until next time, my oddballs, I'm skipping the spiel and just gonna say, thank you. You're awesome. Let me know how you're doing. And good night.